All right, hi again, everybody. This is Mr. Del Cristo, and we are going to do another 1-point perspective drawing, and this time we're going to do it on a underwater aquarium. So our first step is to make sure that our paper is landscape. So this is portrait mode, and we're going to put it in landscape. All right, and for this assignment, you're going to need a ruler or something straight and a pencil. So that's all I've got here. And our first step is we're going to make a big X that goes across the paper from one corner to the next. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side, from this corner to that corner. Now you can see that my ruler is not long enough to go across the whole page. And I don't know if many people's rulers will be long enough. So what we're going to do is we're just going to play it with our eyes, and we're just going to see more or less where we need to move the angle of our ruler. We're going to go from one corner to the next. We made a pretty good line, and then we're just going to finish it off. And the reason we're doing it with our pencil is because if we make a mistake, we can erase and start again. So as you can see, I'm pretty close to the corner. It doesn't have to be perfectly in the corner. So I'm just going to do that to the other side. And I'm going to just try and eyeball it where I need to make my line. So I think it's right about here. And again, it doesn't have to be perfectly perfect, but you can try as best you can to do so. So I look like I'm going to be a little bit off, but it's fine. So we've got an X. So a nice big X in the middle of our paper. Our next step is we're going to use the ruler again, and we're going to go and make a vertical line that just goes from this point, which is the middle of the paper, down here. So we're not going to do anything to the top. We're just going to make our line right down the middle here. Okay? And now this is our vanishing point. This is where everything in our paper, in our drawing, is going to look like it disappears to. So we're going to be in a walkway going towards this point. So as you can see, it's a very long underwater tunnel that we're going to draw. And you'll see as it comes together now. The next thing we're going to do is get our ruler. And now we're going to make two diagonal lines. So right now we made a vertical line. So a diagonal line are these lines that make an X. So they go from side to side. So I'm going to point one from the middle, and I'm just going to pick an area in this side of the triangle. And then I'm going to try to do the same thing as symmetrical as possible. So I don't want to do it over here, because look at the space that I have here. So I'm going to try and match it as best as possible. You could do something with your fingers like this, and just more or less get a gauge of, I think I need to move my ruler just a little bit over. And again, you can do this as many times as you need to, because you do have a pencil, and we're not doing this with a Sharpie. So as you can see now, I've got 4 triangles that look like they're vanishing at this point in the middle. After that, I'm going to start making the tiles that are on the floor. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to start here by the vanishing point. I'm just going to make horizontal lines, and I'm using my ruler to make sure I'm going straight across. And as I get closer to the bottom, I'm going to separate the space in between the tiles a little bit more, because as we were talking about a couple weeks ago, the closer you are to something, the bigger they seem. So if you were standing right here, the tile below you is going to seem very big, but the tiles away from you like these are going to seem very, very small. So as we get closer and closer to the bottom, I'm just going to make the tiles bigger and bigger. And maybe just add one in the distance for good measure. So now if you can see, we've got 2 walls, a floor, and what's going to be over our head. And as we do this next part, you're going to see how that makes a lot more sense. So we're going to need a ruler again. And then I'm going to go to where these lines of the tiles ended, and I'm going to make a vertical line from this point just to touching that triangle. I don't want to touch anything up here. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And I'm going to use this line and this line and this line to do the same thing as I go across. So we're going to match up the tile lines with these lines that are really going to be parts of the aquarium. And if you go to an aquarium, you know that you can see through it. So it's a big wall of glass. And those walls of glass have to be secured. So these lines that we're drawing are actually the parts of the wall of glass that maybe are welded together, or they have some sort of metal that holds them to get them stronger. And that's what we're drawing. So I'm going to use the corners of where the tiles, again, go, and I'm not going to do anything in this top section. And I've got one more here. And we want to make sure that these lines are as straight as possible. So now I've got my floor, I've got my walls, and now I have my roof. Now the most interesting part of this drawing is going to be our roof. I think I might want to put these two lines down here. Because what we're going to do is we're going to connect them, and we're not going to have the roof be flat. Because in an underwater aquarium, we kind of have an arch to our roof. So we're going to make an arch shape. And look, notice how I'm holding my pencil. So you might want to try that. It's easier to move your whole hand, okay? Sorry, your whole arm, right? Even your wrist, instead of trying to do an arch with just this part of your hand. So we want to move our whole arm back and forth very lightly until you like the shape. So that's going to be one arch. Now I'm going to connect this to this. And I'm going to just make an arch shape. And if I want it to be a little bit more archy, which means that it comes like a rainbow shape, we're going to make a rainbow shape. I'm going to keep doing it until I use the one I like. Now when you get to these smaller ones, it might be a little bit easier to use your fingers. And that's basically it. If you want to draw the lines that you like darker, if you want to go ahead and make your corrections and things that you make mistakes on, erase anything that you don't like, you can do this now. But this is how our aquarium is going to look. And so the next part of the video is going to be a little bit of fast forward, and I'm going to put animals all over the place. Maybe a nurse shark down here because they like to hang out on the around the ground of the seabed. Maybe some coral in the back. Maybe some eels coming out of there. I'd like to do an octopus somewhere, and maybe a big shark coming across, or a turtle. You can fill this aquarium with so many different animals. So watch how that happens now, and enjoy the rest of the video. All right, so here you have it, a almost finished final product. I just used pencil. I erased a couple times. I got a Sharpie, a thin line one and a regular one to do all my outlines. And if you can tell, I made the animals look like they were coming towards. So if you can look at this shark, his head is a lot bigger than his tail. And it's different than this shark who's right above us, and the tail and head are pretty equal. And don't worry about these lines getting in the way, because these animals are all behind the glass. And remember, we talked about how these structures would make the glass kind of hold together and keep the water from crashing in. So you can add a bunch of different animals. This is a manta ray and stingray. I have a starfish, some sort of eel going back into a hole. I put a little crab, octopus, some sharks, and another eel. I encourage people to do more corals and really fill up the background. The more things you put in the background, the less blue you have to color, like these open spaces. So I really hope you enjoyed making this drawing, and I'll see you in class.